the leader of People's Alliance Party, the former Prime Minister, former opposition leader, and the future Prime Minister, Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka. The leader of NFP, Honorable Professor Biman Prasad. I welcome you all for taking your precious time out to attend today's meeting. On behalf of the Joint Committee of BA, of PAP and NFP, we are very happy and by seeing the numbers that you guys have made today. This shows that the wind for change is blowing. BA is a battleground for any political party. For Fiji Fest, we can see they got plenty ministers in BA. And BA is a place where we have to make the difference. BA in Gujarati community, BA means mother. So once again, welcome to BA. So BA is the battlefield, and it will be a tough election for us, but we are very, very confident of forming the next government. Before we move on, I'll request the girls to come and garland PAP leader, Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka. Please give a round of applause. And we also garland NFP leader, Professor Biman Prasad.
Good evening. Ni sambulu naka. Dola. What else? Konnichiwa. Ni sambula, ni mbulu naka. On Sunday, I learned something new. A senior leader of the BJP party, Prime Minister Modi's party, greeted me in a hotel in Delhi when we went to have lunch. And he did this to me. And I said to him, what does that mean? He said, it's a greeting. And my friend who flew down from Kathmandu in Nepal to have lunch with us on Sunday, told me it's namaste. It means I'm acknowledging, I'm receiving, I'm paying my respects to the God in you. And my friend Charles, we've been friends for many years now. He was part of a group of brothers who flew down from Washington, D.C. Some flew from New Zealand. We all met in Auckland, in Sydney, flew up to Brisbane, and chartered an aircraft to fly to Fiji a few days after the 14th of May, 1987. Some of them were congressmen, some of them were senators, and a member of parliament from Australia, and a member of parliament from New Zealand. They came, and I arranged for the VIP quarters in Berkeley Crescent, near Government House, to be prepared for them by Foreign Affairs. They stayed the afternoon, and I was very busy at that time, trying to get myself organized. And late in the evening, I came, and we had dinner. And I asked them, where are you from? He said, I'm from America. Our brother here is from Australia, New Zealand. And what are you here for? We've come to talk to you. Do you know me? He said, no. But we love Fiji. And we believe you're a good person. We have come to ask you, what are you going to do about the Indians in Fiji? And I said to them, I will look after them. But 2 days before that, my chief instructor in the staff college in India, in Tamil Nadu, he was a brigadier then, and he rose all the way to become the commander of the Indian Army. General Sunil Francis Rodriguez from Goa. When I went to India last week, I was hoping I'd be able to talk to him. In the hotel lobby, there were a group of servicemen. They were mostly Air Force. I told them that I am a graduate of the Indian Defense Services Staff College in Wellington, Tamil Nadu. And I asked them, what is General Rodriguez doing now? And he said, you know him? Yes. He was my chief instructor in 1979. So we were very sorry, sir. He died in March this year. He was one of the best generals that India has ever produced, and they have produced many. A few days before the group came from America and Australia and New Zealand came, he called me. General Rodriguez called me. And he said, Steve, yes, General. You know what you're doing? Yes, General. What are you going to do with our people? I said, they're no longer your people, General. They are our people, and I will look after them. And I owe that to Mrs. Gandhi. When she came to Fiji, and she spoke at Government House, and she told what we now call the Indo-Fijians, we're all Fijians, but some of us at times need to identify. And he said to them, you no longer are Indians. You belong here. You belong here. Give it everything you have. Mrs. Gandhi said that in Government House in Berkeley Crescent. I'm here tonight, and I first of all acknowledge the God in you. And I say, Namaste. There is something good in every person. Something good in every person. But first of all, you have to be good to acknowledge and recognize the good in the other person. If not, you will be worried, you will be scared, you will not really welcome them into your small circle, your small personal circle. This afternoon, we were in Lobu, just outside Lautoka. You know that better because you belong to this area. And I spoke to them also, a big group, but not as big as this. It was outside a church. Here we are in a mandir, and it's a bigger crowd. But we're not going to talk religion. We're going to talk about human relationships. We're going to be talking about friendship. We are going to be talking about national spirit. In the army, it was called the esprit de corps, the spirit of the corps. What we're going to be building now is the spirit of the nation that can come from each of us. We can contribute to a great nation. And last week, I was in India. Still fresh in my mind are the pictures we see on television about this great nation, or this great country of India. We see poverty depicted or pictured on the screens of our televisions, our sitting rooms. Very rarely do we see what I saw last week. A great nation great people who love one another. Their morale is very good. The national morale is good. In the 6 days that I was there, I never saw one traffic accident. No pothole. And people just going about their own thing, whether they were on a rickshaw, motorized rickshaw, or a minibus that had passengers hanging out the wall, or motorbikes, scooters with father, mother, and 2 kids at the back, all just going about enjoying life and contributing to the enjoyment of life with the others on the streets. We lack that in Fiji. We have lived so long under fear. We've lived so long under oppression. We've lived so long under economic difficulties. We are in a crisis. And in times of crisis, what do the people want? They want leaders. I'm sorry to say this, they're not really worried or trying to find economists or finance managers or doctors or engineers. In times of crisis, people demand to have leaders. And tonight, my brother, Professor Biman, and I have come here to put our hands up. We are prepared to be the leaders of this nation, to bring us together, to create an atmosphere of friendship, of love, of courage, determination to take the country forward. We've been in the dark for too long. We've been struggling for too long. We've had no water for too long, no power for so long. Let's change that. And we're willing to be instruments of that change. We have great parties. Mine is very new. His is very old. His is the oldest political party in Fiji. They came and they had to struggle. It was the beginning, or in that time, of our political metamorphosis, when we were going from colonial administration towards independent nationhood. And the question that General Rodriguez asked me, that the people on that plane asked me, what are we going to do with the people who have come to be with us? And the people who have come to be with us ask themselves that, how do we survive in this land where we have been brought, some against our will? How do we make it work? Let's organize ourselves into a political party that will fight for our rights. Thus, the birth of the National Federation Party. And we pay our respects to the leaders who formed that party at that time. And they've held the interests of the Indo-Fijians at heart ever since. And Professor Biman and the team continue to do that. This time, they want to do it with the Tauke and the other races who are represented in the People's Alliance. We had shown that it will work. We have shown that it worked. We have shown in 1997 that it worked. Only 10 years after we were split apart by the man who is addressing you tonight. A man who was prepared to apologize to your people, to your leaders at the time. I even went as far as apologizing to the Queen. We have come a long way. But people will prefer to still refer back to that. I give you my word, I gave it here the last time we came around. Then I'm a different person. I have changed. I want you to change. Change with me, and together we change Fiji. You're a great bunch of people. We're a great people, only badly led. Fiji is a great nation, made of great people, only badly led. And the only way to change that is to change the leaders. And we're here to put our hands up. We have confidence in you. We have confidence in your right to make the right choice. And we volunteer to be the choice. We volunteer to be your representatives and your leaders in your government. in the democratic government of Fiji. About 600 years before Christ was born, the great army of Persia was conquering every territory in that part of the world. And they came towards Greece. And a small army of Athenians from Athens came out to meet them. And they fought a great war, great battle on the battlefields of Marathon. And this small army of Greeks from Athens defeated this mighty army of Persia. And the messenger ran all the way, 26 miles plus a few hundred yards, all the way to the Senate in Greece to tell them, we have won. Fell down and died. That's how the great event of the Marathon race was born. The man's name, Peter Fides. And they were trying to defend their brand of leadership they call democratia. Democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. A government like that should never let its nation fall to where we are. Let's get out of here. Let's retain that system of government, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, where we can all hold hands, move Fiji forward. And then nobody can blame us but ourselves. Now is the time when you have a choice to change the direction we're going in. And we have put up our hands to be available for your choice. As I said, it is a great nation of great people, only badly led. And in times of crisis, people demand good leaders. We are prepared to be that. Many years ago, you said I was a bad guy. Now I've told you, this is the second time in the same Monday I've told you, I am a changed person. I'm prepared to work for you. I'm prepared to do for you what you can do for yourself and do it better. We're together, we can do it. Let's push really forward. It's time for change. You have the power to make the change. We are available to be with you to make that change.
Thank you, Ajay. Former Prime Minister and the leader of the People's Alliance, Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka, our Vice President for BAR, Mr. Deven Naidu, our General Secretary, Seni Nembo, the Committee for the People's Alliance in BAR, aspiring candidates from both parties, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by saying that we will be in government after the election this year. A government of the People's Alliance and the National Federation Party. We want to lead a government which understands where we are, which understands where we are going and where we have to go, and a government that is going to be honest, transparent, and accountable to deliver for the people of this country. We have the resources, we have the leaders, we have the vision, and we understand where the country is right now. And as they say, Before you decide where you want to go, you have to understand where we are. And as Mr. Rambuka said, that we are in a crisis. And when you are in a crisis, and when we are in a crisis, we need leaders that can take you out of that crisis. And we have the leadership with us, the People's Alliance and the National Federation Party. Where we are today, ladies and gentlemen. Today, no matter what Frank Bainimarama or Ayaz Sayed Kayum say about what they have done, today more than 50% of the people are struggling to make ends meet, living below the poverty line. Today, we have the worst health services ever in the history of this country. And all of you know, my friends, all of you know the state of health services in this country. Today, we have the state of infrastructure in disrepair. Before the election, you can see roadworks all throughout. We travel from Suba right up to Ba. Before the election, things start happening. You look at the sugar industry. From 3.2 million tons in 2006 to a pocket-sized industry of 1.4, 1.5 million tons. You look at the dairy industry, it's on the decline. You look at the agriculture sector, it's on the decline. You look at the quality of education, it's on the decline. You look at the level of employment and the income of the people, it's on the decline. The cost of living is just going up and up and up. And people's income, families' income has stayed where it is. And my friends, I can go on and on about the problems because that is what the people tell us every day. That is what we hear when we go around the country. That is what people tell us. What this government does, instead of talking about how they can help the people with the rising cost of living, with the declining levels of income, instead of telling the people how they're going to fix the health services, instead of telling the people why in 15 years the infrastructure has deteriorated so much, instead of telling people how they're going to rescue the sugar industry, they are going to the past. They've used the Girmit occasion to talk about the past. They want to go back to the past, talk about the past, to stoke fear in the community. That's what they are doing. And many of you understand what they are doing. Yes, we all know what happened in 1987. We all know what people went through. But we also know that when Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka became the Prime Minister in 1992, and when his government was defeated in 1993, and he went into an election in 1994, the National Federation Party came up with 20 seats, and he came up with our leader at that time, Justice Jairam Reddy. They worked together, they talked to the people, and they got a world-acclaimed 1997 Constitution, on which, after the election in 1999, the first Indo-Fijian Prime Minister was appointed. But ladies and gentlemen, Frank Bainimarama and Ayaz Sayed Khyum want to talk about 87. They want to talk about Biman Prasad and Sitiveni Rambuka. They don't want to talk about how Jairam Reddy, as the leader of the Indian community at that time, worked with him to deliver the 1997 Constitution. Then my friends, Frank Bainimarama and Ayaz Sayed Khyum and all his minions, and some of them roam around in bar, do not want to talk about what happened after 2000 coup. Who was the commander of the military forces in 2000? Who? You know that, my friends. They don't talk about hundreds of people who were terrorized in Moniveni, in Raketi, everywhere in the country after 2000 coup. Today is the anniversary of that coup, 19th of May, my friends. Today is the anniversary of that coup. Bainimarama doesn't explain why, as the commander of the military forces, he did not restore the elected government back into power after the hostages were released. He doesn't explain why he even abrogated the Constitution. Not once, twice. He doesn't explain that as the commander of the Fiji military forces, he did a coup in 2006 as well. So if you want to talk about 87 coup, you should talk about 2000 coup, you should talk about 2006 coup. Yes, people left after 87. People left after 2000. Hundreds, thousands of people are leaving now and left after 2006 coup. People were taken to the barracks, terrorized after 2006 coup. They don't talk about that. And yes, some of you might have listened to this shameful, pathetic attempt in one Aina program where they spent an hour on a radio station funded by you and mount a vitriolic attack on me and Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka. And that was done in Hindi. And you know why they want to do that? Because they want to tell you not to vote for Biman Prasad and Sitiveni Rambuka. If they have the guts, if they have the honesty, if they have any shame left, they will stop talking about the past. Nobody is saying that you forget the past. But right now, my friends, this country needs to look to the future. We need to look at how people are putting food on the table in their homes. We need to look at how our elders, when they go to the hospital, there is no medicine. How people who suffer heart attacks cannot get an angio. How people who have completed their degrees cannot find a job. How people's income has continued to decline. How the sugarcane farmers are struggling to make ends meet. This is what we should be talking about. Don't you think so? But they, my friends, are using your money. Somebody just told me that Ayaz Sayyid Qayyum was in Ba somewhere, and there were 6 vehicles traveling with him. This is a campaign period. And suddenly you see there is prefect induction everywhere. And ministers are scaring, using the students, calling the parents, so that they can have some audience to talk. You know why they're doing that? Because nobody is going to the meeting. They're using advisory counselors. They're using your money to bring people so that they can tell them how bad Biman Prasad is and how Sitiveni Rambuka is going to take everything away from you again. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. But as Mr. Rambuka said, quite correctly, that our people are not fools. हमारे लोग बेवकूफ नहीं हैं. सच है कि नहीं? हमारे लोग बेवकूफ नहीं हैं. जो हुआ 2014, 2018, उसकी भी बात भी हम नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि हम जानते हैं कि हमारे लोग बेवकूफ नहीं हैं, हमारे लोग समझदार हैं. Our people understand what the situation is. And that is why all the attack is on us. Because suddenly they have found out, my friends, that we are the future. We have the vision. And we have provided an alternative to the people in this election. And that alternative is the People's Alliance and the NFP. Let me say this again, that between now and the election, we don't know when the election is going to be held, they are not telling us now. But between now and the election, you will see that your money, using your money, television stations like FBC, radio stations like run by FBC, exclusive advertising for newspapers like Fiji Sun. Do you ever see anything good being said about Biman Prasad or even Sitiveni Rambuka in Fiji Sun or FBC? No. Do you ever see anything good? No. Are we such bad people? No. There will be more and more, my friends, more and more vitriolic attack. There will be attempt to twist and turn what Mr. Rambuka says, what I say, about what we want to do. We have a vision. We have a vision to fix our economy. We have a vision to pay the debt that these people have put on us and the people of Fiji. It is estimated, ladies and gentlemen, that by the end of this year, our total debt could be as much as $9 billion. Ayaz Sayyid Qayyum came into parliament, and when an economist warned that we could be going towards what Sri Lanka is going, he said, we are far better than Sri Lanka. But just one indicator, my friends, I want to tell you this. Sri Lanka's debt is 50 billion US, which is 100 billion Fijian, times 2 US dollar, whatever exchange rate you want to use. Population is 22 million. When we say per capita debt, in other words, हर एक आदमी, हर एक महिला, हर एक बच्चे के ऊपर इस देश में कितना कर्जा लदा हुआ है, the amount of debt each individual, men, women, children are carrying, you take the total debt of 9 billion, and divide that by the population, our debt per capita would be about $10,000, whereas Sri Lanka's debt per capita would be half of that. So we are actually worse than Sri Lanka if we measure the debt per capita. 10,000 कर्जा हम सभी अपने मूड पर लेकर चल रहे हैं. By the end of the year हो जाएगा. We have the vision to fix the hospital services in this country. We have the vision to deal with the squatter settlements in this country. And what we will do, my friends, is we will do it by working together with you people, by working together with our community leaders. We are not going to threaten people. We are going to work with the people. And that is why this trick that they are using to create fear and try and show that they are doing things before the election. Whatever they give you between now and the election is your money. You pay the taxes. But what this government has done is spend your money like drunks in a nightclub. In a nightclub, people use their own money. But this is a government that has spent money like drunks, which is your money. And in the last 15 years, they have spent $50 billion. And what do you see? Power failures, potholes, you're absolutely right, water cuts, declining sugar industry that I talked about. Where is the money gone? I said in Parliament that my estimate that between 2015 to 2020, on average, between 2015 and 2020 के बीच में लगभग $500 million हर एक साल बर्बाद हुआ. 6 साल का आप जोड़ो $3 billion. $3 billion, in my view, in my estimate, has been wasted between 2015 and 2020. And yet, people are struggling to buy medicine. People go to the hospital, the medicine is not available. That is what it means, my friends, when governments misuse, mismanage your funds. Before 2018 election, they spent like nobody's business. Some of you know that. 2019, the economy was going down. When the COVID hit us, we were already down. If it was not for the remittances, how many people have relatives and friends overseas? Just put your hands up. All of you. Please, just put your hands up if you have friends and relatives. Just put your hands up. Because in 2020, $652 million in remittances came from families and friends and those who are working outside of this country. In 2021, $842 million. If we add the two, about $1.5 billion came into the country. We sold EFL for $400 million, $200 million went back to FNPF, $200 million went to government. We got more than 300 million budget support from Australia and New Zealand. We got all our vaccines that we got, donated by all our friends. And we borrowed more. And we borrowed more. And again, they are not talking about the disastrous way that they handled COVID. If it was not for this support, we would have been in a much more dire situation, serious situation. But they don't tell that 1,800 people in this country died directly as a result of COVID or indirectly as a result of COVID. They don't talk about that. So, my friends, the choice is very clear. You know what is there. You know what this government has done. You know what they have said during the last two elections. You have seen them, this two-man leadership for 15 years. And I know that you know and we know that the time for this two-man leadership is over.
Yeah.
The time for working together, time for leaders to bring the vision about the future, time for addressing the concerns of the people, and time for look to the future is now, and that is with the leadership of the People's Alliance and the National Federation Party.
Yep. Yeah.
Let there be no doubt that we are going to go into the government after the election this year. And I want to thank all of you for your support, for your attendance, and for the warm welcome that you provided to Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka and myself. And we want to take this country forward. I just wanted to end tonight's program, my own speech today, by telling all of you what Justice Jairam Reddy told me in 1999 and what he told me in 2015 about Sitiveni Rambuka. In 1999, my friends, as a young man, I was asked by Mr. Reddy to contest the election. And I asked him, I said, why do you have a coalition with the SBT led by Sitiveni Rambuka? And he said, Biman, in my years of political career, I worked with many leaders, but I can tell you that I trust Sitiveni Rambuka more than 100%. When I became the leader in 2014 and got into Parliament, I went to New Zealand, Auckland, where I met Mr. Reddy again. And we spent a whole day. And again, he told me, Biman, if you have another opportunity to work with another leader of the Itoke community, and if you get the chance to work with Sitiveni Rambuka, trust him more than 100%. And I trust Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka. I trust that together we will take this country forward. That's our vision. That's our dream right now. And I thank you, my friends, once again for this wonderful presence.